Well, I have a plan for wholeheartedly moving to the cloud. It's great. You're going to love it. And the Canadians are going to pay for it. Crazy season we're in. You know, I think we have made a lot of progress. And in part because we've got some very talented leadership in the executive branch who get it, not least of whom is Tony Scott. Give him another hand for his leadership. Now, the FTAR legislation, also known as, Steve calls it Connolly ISA, you know, is designed to try to create a structure for modernizing how we procure and manage IT in the federal government. Now, when we first kind of started working on that, nobody thought we could get bipartisan consensus on it, and nobody thought it a particularly significant topic. Certainly not a very interesting topic until the rollout of the healthcare website. And then everybody kind of realized the soft underbelly of public policy is the IT piece. You get that wrong, all of your wonderful, glorious public policy reforms collapse. Whole initiatives can collapse. Public confidence can be lost. And we saw that for a fairly prolonged period of time in the healthcare reform effort because of the website. And it exposed the fact that we weren't very good at this, apparently. And so it was good timing for our legislation, which was already in process. And that legislation is designed to try to modernize and bring into the 21st century how we manage this stuff in the federal government. We have a lot of problems. Data center consolidation. If you want to get serious savings that can be reinvested in the enterprise, that's how you do it. Billions of dollars to be had. But trying to get people to even accurately account for how many data centers they've got, let alone consolidate them, has been a chore. And we do, the good news is we have some agencies like Department of Commerce that set a goal originally of saving $222 million. They've actually exceeded that goal and they keep on going. So we have some benchmarks, positive benchmarks we can point to saying, do what they're doing. And try to effectuate savings. And in Congress, we want those savings reinvested. Maybe not all of my colleagues, but those of us who are kind of at the, in the ring with Muhammad Ali, we want those savings to be reinvested in the enterprise, and we're going to try our best to protect them. But getting that moving has been a struggle. Other efforts to try to streamline, like FedRAMP, I mean, FedRAMP was designed to streamline the process. We've made it a headache, we've made it costly, we've made it difficult, we've made people discouraged from even wanting to participate. How did we do that? I mean, that takes some doing. Somebody had to sit down and figure out how do we screw this up. And so we've got to untangle that. We've got to return to the original purpose of FedRAMP, which was to streamline, to save money, to encourage private sector partners to get into the enterprise and help us in this mission. Legacy systems. We don't even know how many legacy systems we've got. We do know that there are some systems that go back to the Johnson administration. Now look, I liked LBJ as much as the next guy. But, really? Steve mentioned floppy disks. Think about this. The nuclear ballistic missile program is heavily dependent on floppy disks. I ask you, what could go wrong with that? So the world's only surviving superpower is still using floppy disks for its nuclear deterrent program. Anyone see any problem with that? This tells you that the system has been broken, that we haven't even made a dent at keeping up with the modern era, and that we have a lot to learn from our private sector partners, and we better learn it quickly. We have a moment where we have a legislative framework that allows a lot of flexibility, isn't overly prescriptive, but heavily incentivizes federal agencies to get with the program. We try to streamline management, so there is what we say in Latin, a primus inter pares, one chief CIO without prescribing it. We allow the evolution of cultures in various federal agencies, and I pray that works, because if it doesn't, then we're inviting fiat-type legislation that will mandate, which is not really what we think we need. Every federal agency, we understand, has a different culture. Even within federal agencies, we've got lots of different cultures, and we want to respect that within reason. But if it leads to this kind of dysfunction, and if it leads to this kind of inefficiency and tremendous costs, think about this. $82 billion a year we spent on IT procurement, and 80% of it is spent, roughly, on maintaining legacy systems. That is unacceptable. I think I've said before, I'm told, the only good thing about that is the Chinese don't know how to hack into COBOL. So maybe something's to be said for some of the legacy systems. But it may not be easy to extricate ourselves from it. We know it's going to require upfront investment. But we've got to move the federal government into the 21st century in IT. It's critical to the entire mission of everything we do. And the good news is, I think, there's an increasing recognition of the importance of that. This is no longer a backwater kind of subject that only a handful of people get involved in. We have this moment of bipartisan consensus in the Hill. We have this moment of leadership at the top in the federal government. If we don't take advantage of that, shame on us, no matter who's elected in November. But I believe she will be committed to these goals. But so we've got to do it. The good news is, unlike Klinger-Cohen, we're still around, and we're going to continue to keep the pressure on. I hope in a positive way. We've seen some real progress, I think, in the federal family. I think seven federal agencies really significantly improved their grade. The purpose of grading is not, as I've said before, to put a scarlet letter on anyone's back or to shame anybody. It's to try to have a piece of accountability and to have benchmarks to measure progress. But we got to have progress. We got to fix things like FedRAMP. We've got to address legacy systems. We've got to consolidate data centers. We've got to streamline CIO management so that we don't make big mistakes, and when we see something not working, we can fix it or pull the plug quickly, as we do in the private sector, instead of perpetuating mistakes that then become multi-billion-dollar mistakes, which we have seen in IT management. So I really think it's a great moment for reform, for effective reform that will make a huge difference in how we operate. We have to move IT from a commodity management mentality to a transformative process mentality. How does this affect everything we do in a positive way? How can it make us provide better services, quicker, more efficiently, less costly, so that the whole enterprise is reinforced? And I think that's really kind of the broader goal. That was the intention, I think, of our legislation. And I hope we will take advantage of this shining moment, really, of opportunity that rarely comes along in Washington. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for being part of that transformative process. Let's get on with the mission. Thank you.